Hello? Imagine a small cafe hidden amidst the busy streets of Chicago, a place called Harmony, known not for extravagant treats, but for soulful music and heartfelt stories unfolding quietly beneath the city's skyline. Among its gentle lights and warm atmosphere, one waitress stood out. Elena, a stunningly beautiful young woman with deep, luminous brown eyes, rich dark skin, and flowing black curls framing her graceful face. Despite her undeniable beauty and exceptional singing talent, Elena was incredibly shy, never daring to perform before an audience, keeping her passion concealed behind a shy smile. One chilly autumn evening, Elena moved gracefully between the tables, carrying orders and quietly humming melodies only she could hear. This evening, however, her peaceful routine was disrupted by an unfamiliar presence, a wealthy, sharply dressed white businessman named Nicholas Gray. Tall, charismatic, and notoriously arrogant, Nicholas entered Harmony with an air of superiority that made Elena instantly uneasy. When Elena approached Nicholas's table to serve him coffee, her hand shook slightly from nervousness, causing a few drops to spill onto his expensive jacket. Instantly, the atmosphere froze. Nicholas's cold blue eyes narrowed, and a sarcastic smirk appeared on his lips. "Oh, quite the performance," he mocked loudly, his voice dripping with irony. "I suppose you owe me more than just an apology. Perhaps a song would be appropriate to compensate for this mess." His companions laughed mockingly, while Elena felt humiliation rise within her. But beneath the embarrassment burned quiet determination. Elena, though shy, would not be easily intimidated. Meeting Nicholas's eyes with unexpected defiance, she calmly replied, "If it's a song you want, Mr. Gray, then you shall have it. Perhaps it will help soothe your injured pride." Surprised by her composure, Nicholas raised an intrigued eyebrow. Elena gently turned away, stepped toward the piano on stage, and felt every eye in the cafe follow her, especially Nicholas's sharp, curious gaze. She sat before the piano, heart racing wildly. Her co-workers quietly encouraged her, whispering words of comfort and support. Gathering her courage, Elena's slender fingers touched the keys. As she began to sing, the cafe instantly fell silent. Her voice flowed out clear and strong, powerful yet tender, weaving a spellbinding melody. Each note she sang was filled with emotion, pain, love, and dreams. Customers stared in awe. Even Nicholas, initially skeptical and amused, felt a strange warmth stirring within him, caught completely off guard by the sheer beauty of Elena's voice. As Elena's voice soared, Nicholas's expression shifted from arrogant amusement to disbelief, then genuine awe. He found himself unexpectedly moved, something that had not happened to him in years. When Elena finished, a stunned silence was quickly replaced by thunderous applause. Nicholas rose slowly from his chair, eyes fixed intently on Elena, who was breathing deeply, visibly emotional from the performance. He approached the stage, pride giving way to admiration. Standing close, his voice unusually gentle, Nicholas said sincerely, "You're truly extraordinary, Elena. I underestimated you. Let me help you. I can take your talent to heights you've never imagined." His words were earnest, though Elena hesitated, unsure whether to trust him. She accepted his card cautiously, promising to consider his offer carefully. That night, Elena couldn't sleep. Her mother's worn face and years of sacrifice haunted her thoughts. Could this arrogant stranger truly help her change her life? Or was he merely exploiting her talent for his benefit? At dawn, Elena's resolve hardened. She picked up the phone, her heart racing as she dialed Nicholas's number. Nicholas answered immediately, his voice eager, anticipating her response. "I'm ready," Elena whispered resolutely. And with those simple words, she took her first bold step towards a new, uncertain future. From this moment, their lives became intertwined, moving toward a path neither could fully predict. Elena's extraordinary talent had captured Nicholas's attention, but neither yet realized how profoundly their meeting would change them both. The story had just begun, promising challenges and revelations ahead. Would Elena's bravery lead her to stardom, or would Nicholas's intentions reveal darker secrets? Stay tuned. The melody has only just begun. With Nicholas's phone number trembling in her hand, Elena felt her heart pounding. She had just made one of the most important decisions of her life, a choice that might either fulfill her dreams or break her heart forever. Later that afternoon, she met Nicholas at an upscale studio in downtown Chicago, a place Elena had never imagined stepping foot into. Nicholas greeted her warmly, his initial arrogance now softened into genuine excitement. "I knew you wouldn't refuse," he said, smiling confidently as he invited her inside. Elena followed hesitantly, her stunning features radiating cautious curiosity. She wore a simple dress that accentuated her beauty, the soft lights illuminating her dark skin like polished ebony, making Nicholas's breath catch involuntarily. That first practice session stretched late into the evening. Nicholas proved himself more than just a businessman. His musical ear was extraordinary, able to detect nuances Elena herself had overlooked. He patiently guided her, polishing her performance without diminishing the sincerity that made her voice so enchanting. Days turned into weeks. Elena gradually felt comfortable under Nicholas's guidance, yet the fear of manipulation remained deep within her. Nicholas was confident, intelligent, and undeniably attractive, but his arrogance sometimes resurfaced, reminding Elena of their differences. Yet, each evening, when exhaustion threatened her spirit, Nicholas would quietly encourage her, showing patience she had never expected from someone like him. As time passed, their relationship deepened. Elena, once shy and hesitant, grew confident in Nicholas's presence. His icy exterior thawed, revealing layers Elena found both fascinating and surprisingly tender. Often, after long rehearsals, they would sit together, talking about their dreams, revealing intimate details that neither had previously dared to share. One evening, after a particularly difficult session, Nicholas noticed Elena's fatigue. He gently handed her a glass of water, his fingers lingering briefly against hers. Elena felt electricity shoot through her veins at his touch, heart pounding in sudden realization. She was beginning to fall for him. Panic surged inside her. How could she feel this way towards someone whose world was so vastly different from hers? Nicholas was rich, white, successful. Elena feared their differences would overshadow her growing feelings. Determined to protect herself, Elena began pulling away emotionally, carefully limiting their conversations to professional matters. Nicholas quickly sensed her retreat. Confused but persistent, he approached Elena after a successful concert in a prominent city theater. Under the soft streetlights outside, he gently but firmly confronted her. "Elena," Nicholas began, his voice unusually soft, almost vulnerable. "You're distancing yourself from me. Why?" Elena lowered her gaze, desperately avoiding his searching eyes. "Nicholas, look at us. We're worlds apart. I'm just a girl who serves coffee and sings in a small cafe. You're Nicholas Gray, powerful and influential. How could I ever belong in your life?" Nicholas stepped closer, lifting Elena's chin gently until her luminous eyes met his. His voice was firm yet tender, shattering her defenses effortlessly. "Elena, from the first moment you sang, I saw only you, your talent, your beauty, your courage. None of my wealth or power matters if you're not with me." Tears welled in Elena's eyes, her heart overwhelmed by his confession. In that instant, the fears she'd built around herself started to crumble. Without another word, Nicholas gently wiped away her tears, pulling her into a protective embrace beneath the soft glow of the street lamp. At that moment, Elena knew she couldn't deny her feelings any longer. Their romance blossomed rapidly after that night. Elena's fears slowly dissolved, replaced by confidence and happiness. Nicholas continued managing her rising career, no longer just as a mentor, but as someone who genuinely cared about her well-being. Their relationship became the talk of the city, capturing attention not only for its apparent contrasts, but also for its authenticity and passion. Elena's mother, once skeptical of Nicholas's intentions, soon saw his sincerity and kindness toward her daughter. Their differences no longer mattered as she watched Elena flourish into a confident young woman who stood proudly beside the man she loved. Seeing her mother finally at ease filled Elena's heart with deep gratitude and newfound strength. Yet, despite the growing success, life was not without its challenges. The spotlight sometimes proved harsh. Elena faced relentless scrutiny from the media, questioning her motivations and mocking her origins. Hurtful rumors surfaced, claiming Elena was merely a tool Nicholas used to bolster his public image. During those difficult moments, Nicholas remained steadfastly by Elena's side, fiercely defending her. They confronted the judgments together, their bond strengthening with every challenge. Elena learned to stand proudly, refusing to be defined by prejudice or jealousy. Her music spoke louder than critics ever could, silencing even her harshest detractors. Gradually, Elena's career soared beyond Chicago, her powerful voice captivating audiences nationwide. Nicholas managed her journey expertly, providing emotional and professional support. Each performance drew massive crowds, and soon Elena's name became synonymous with success and inspiration, symbolizing a woman who defied barriers and conquered her fears. Despite Elena's meteoric rise to fame, her relationship with Nicholas never faltered. They cherished quiet moments together, away from the spotlight, reinforcing the intimacy they built from trust and mutual respect. Still, deep inside Elena, a lingering anxiety remained. Would their love withstand the pressures of fame, or would Nicholas eventually tire of her once she reached the peak of success? This doubt would soon be tested, pushing Elena and Nicholas to confront the ultimate question: was their love strong enough to survive anything, or had the most challenging trial yet to come? The answer awaited them both, hidden just beyond the horizon of their newfound happiness, threatening to either bind them closer or tear them apart forever. As Elena's fame blossomed, the music industry began recognizing her as a rising star. Nicholas watched with pride, seeing the young, shy waitress he once teased transform into a confident, talented woman, captivating audiences nationwide. Yet, amid the applause, Elena still felt shadows of doubt and insecurity. Although their love had grown deeper and stronger, she feared that the price of fame might be higher than she imagined. One afternoon, a major record label offered Elena an extraordinary contract. Nicholas, thrilled, encouraged her to sign, knowing it would secure her future. But when she read the conditions closely, anxiety tightened its grip. The label demanded absolute control over her image, music, and even personal life. Elena hesitated, uncomfortable sacrificing her authenticity for success. Nicholas, unaware of Elena's internal turmoil, arranged an extravagant celebration to announce her upcoming deal. On the rooftop of Chicago's most luxurious hotel, surrounded by media and powerful industry figures, Elena stood nervously beside Nicholas, forced into the very spotlight she had always feared. As Nicholas raised a toast in her honor, Elena felt her heart racing. Cameras flashed, capturing her uncertain expression. Suddenly, panic surged through her veins. Unable to endure the overwhelming pressure, Elena excused herself quickly, retreating into solitude beneath the starry sky at the far end of the terrace. Moments later, Nicholas joined her, confusion etched into his features. "Elena, what's wrong?" he asked gently, sensing her distress. She faced him, eyes filled with anxiety. "Nicholas, the contract. I don't think I can do it. They'll control everything. Who I am, how I sing, even us." Nicholas paused, realizing for the first time how deeply troubled Elena was. He took her trembling hands into his own. "Elena, your happiness matters more than any contract or fame. If this doesn't feel right, we'll find another path." Yet Elena saw uncertainty in his eyes. Was Nicholas truly willing to sacrifice the lucrative opportunity and prestige that came with this deal? The fear of disappointing him overwhelmed her, making Elena retreat emotionally again, pulling away even as Nicholas desperately tried to reassure her. Days passed, filled with tense silence and unspoken worries. Elena's insecurities returned, darker than ever. She started avoiding Nicholas, claiming she needed space, while Nicholas felt helpless, unable to bridge the growing gap between them. One rainy evening, alone in her modest apartment, Elena received a call from her mother. Hearing her comforting voice, Elena finally opened up, confessing her fears and confusion. "Elena," her mother said gently, "the Elena I know isn't defined by anyone else's expectations. You found happiness because you chose courage over fear. Don't lose yourself now, sweetheart." Her mother's words ignited something powerful within Elena. She realized she'd been letting anxiety and insecurity poison her relationship and dreams. Resolving to face her fears once again, Elena rushed to Nicholas's luxurious penthouse, determined to mend the distance she had created. When Nicholas opened the door, seeing Elena soaked from rain, but eyes glowing with determination, he embraced her instantly, relief washing over him. "Nicholas," Elena began softly, "I've let fear come between us again. I was afraid to disappoint you, afraid that you'd regret being with me if I didn't accept this deal." Nicholas held her tightly, whispering earnestly, "Elena, my greatest regret would be losing you, not any deal or career achievement. I love you, not the idea of success." At that moment, Elena's heart finally felt at peace. She knew that their love was real and unconditional, free from ambition or manipulation. Trust had fully blossomed between them, stronger than any doubt. Together, they decided to decline the restrictive contract, shocking many industry insiders. Instead, Nicholas used his influence and connections to help Elena build her own independent label, one that respected her artistic freedom and authenticity. Elena's brave decision only increased her popularity. Fans admired her courage to stand true to herself, inspiring thousands of people who struggled to embrace their uniqueness in a demanding world. Her concerts sold out instantly, audiences now coming not just for the beautiful voice, but for the strength and sincerity behind every note. Throughout this intense period, Nicholas and Elena grew even closer. Their bond, tested repeatedly, emerged stronger, rooted deeply in mutual trust and respect. Their differences in background, race, and status, once so daunting, had become meaningless beside the truth of their love. Yet, even amid newfound confidence and security, Elena still wondered about their future. Would Nicholas always stay committed, even as the pressures of their contrasting worlds persisted? Was she truly ready for the scrutiny and demands that lay ahead? These questions lingered quietly, but Elena was now strong enough to face them. She had finally understood that love was not about perfection, nor was it defined by status or fame. It was about two people willing to walk together through storms and sunshine, fears and triumphs, always choosing each other over everything else. As Elena and Nicholas stood hand in hand backstage after another sold-out show, they shared a glance filled with quiet assurance. They knew more challenges would come, but they also knew they would face them side by side. But their journey wasn't over yet. Another surprise awaited them, one that neither anticipated, a revelation that would test their love again, pushing them to the ultimate decision. Were they truly ready for what lay ahead? As they stepped onto a new stage, both literally and figuratively, Elena silently asked herself, had she finally conquered all her fears, or would the greatest test of her courage lie just ahead? Their story was about to take a turn neither had ever imagined. After gracefully declining the label's restrictive offer, Elena and Nicholas became closer than ever. Although their decision shocked many in the entertainment world, it only made them stronger as partners. Elena was no longer simply a talented young woman discovered in a cafe. She was becoming a symbol of artistic authenticity, respected by peers and adored by fans. Nicholas, who once viewed her primarily as a source of intrigue and potential success, now genuinely loved her, admiring not just her extraordinary talent, but also her courage and inner strength. Months later, Elena's career continued to flourish independently. Her performances now filled prestigious concert halls across the city. Nicholas leveraged his connections not for profit or personal gain, but purely to support Elena's artistic freedom. Their relationship remained the core of their shared success, inspiring others to see that genuine love and mutual respect could overcome any perceived differences. But life, as it often does, soon threw them a new challenge, threatening everything they had carefully built. One evening, after an exhilarating performance at Chicago's iconic Symphony Hall, Nicholas and Elena were backstage celebrating with friends and colleagues. As they chatted and laughed, a familiar yet unwelcome face emerged from the shadows. Nicholas's former business partner, Edward Mitchell, a powerful and cunning entrepreneur known for his ruthless tactics and manipulative charm. Edward, tall and imposing with steel-gray eyes and a calculating smile, had once been Nicholas's closest confidant until greed had torn their friendship apart. Now, Edward approached them slowly, his eyes locked dangerously onto Elena, his intentions hidden behind a polite facade. "Remarkable performance," Edward praised smoothly, directing his words to Elena. "Nicholas always had an eye for exceptional talent, but you've exceeded even his usual standards." Nicholas stiffened, sensing Edward's manipulative intentions. Elena, unaware of their troubled history, politely thanked him, feeling the tension between the two men instantly. Edward smiled again, deliberately provocative. "Nicholas, aren't you tired of playing mentor? Elena's fame could skyrocket globally if managed differently, by someone more professional." Nicholas's eyes narrowed dangerously. "Elena doesn't need manipulation or exploitation, Edward. Her career will flourish on her terms, not yours." Edward chuckled coldly, eyes glinting with veiled threats. "We'll see," he said calmly, handing Elena a business card. "If you ever want to expand your horizons, I'm just a call away." After Edward departed, Elena confronted Nicholas, confusion evident in her expressive eyes. Nicholas reluctantly shared his past, how Edward had betrayed him years ago, nearly destroying his career. Elena listened intently, realizing the seriousness of the situation. Nicholas feared Edward's interference might sabotage Elena's independent success, or worse, their relationship itself. For days afterward, Elena was troubled, unable to shake Edward's manipulative presence. Nicholas grew increasingly protective, sensing Edward might try to lure Elena away with promises of fame and fortune. Meanwhile, Edward subtly began spreading rumors among influential music circles, implying that Elena's success was solely due to Nicholas's wealth and connections, not her genuine talent. Hurt by whispers and undermined by growing doubts, Elena struggled with newfound insecurities. Nicholas, recognizing Edward's manipulations, desperately tried shielding Elena from this psychological warfare, reassuring her repeatedly of her own worth. However, tension began creeping between them. Elena, wounded by whispers, questioning her authenticity, withdrew into herself, momentarily doubting her ability. Nicholas noticed her slipping confidence and attempted to reassure her repeatedly, yet Elena couldn't help but wonder if Edward's words held any truth. One rainy night in her quiet apartment, Elena stared at Edward's business card. Dark thoughts swirled in her mind, tempting her to accept Edward's offer just to silence the criticism once and for all. But then she remembered Nicholas's unwavering belief in her. She remembered his kindness, patience, and genuine love, feelings Edward could never understand. The following morning, with renewed resolve, Elena decisively ripped up Edward's card, determined to confront the manipulator head-on rather than hide. Elena realized Nicholas's support had always been sincere, unlike Edward's hidden agenda. She was ready to stand firmly by Nicholas's side, no matter the consequences. Yet the confrontation came sooner than expected. That very afternoon, Nicholas learned Edward was planning to discredit Elena publicly, planning a scandal to ruin her reputation. Furious and protective, Nicholas confronted Edward directly, warning him sharply to leave Elena alone. Edward smugly refused, stating coldly that his plan was already in motion. Realizing the severity of Edward's threat, Nicholas rushed to Elena. They knew the coming storm might destroy everything they had painstakingly built, but Elena was determined not to retreat. Together, they made a daring decision. Elena would publicly reveal the truth herself, openly confronting Edward's manipulation. At her next major concert, facing an enormous audience and media attention, Elena courageously stepped forward, exposing Edward's scheme openly, leaving no secrets hidden. Her voice trembled at first, but her sincerity touched everyone. Nicholas proudly watched as Elena reclaimed her narrative, her bravery silencing the rumors instantly. Edward's lies collapsed under Elena's fearless honesty. The public, inspired by Elena's bravery and sincerity, rallied behind her, shaming Edward and restoring her reputation overnight. The scandal Edward had orchestrated backfired spectacularly, enhancing Elena's reputation rather than damaging it. Nicholas watched Elena proudly, realizing the once shy waitress had transformed into an icon of resilience, integrity, and inspiration. Elena's courage not only saved her career, but solidified their relationship forever. Yet, though the danger from Edward had passed, their journey was far from over. Elena and Nicholas, now bound by even deeper trust, faced an uncertain future where fame, ambition, and personal happiness intertwined. Would Elena's brave act finally silence her fears forever, or were there still greater challenges ahead, testing the depth of their newfound strength? This question hung between them as they prepared to face their next chapter together. Nicholas watched Elena proudly, realizing the once shy waitress had transformed into an icon of resilience, integrity, and inspiration. Elena's courage not only saved her career, but solidified their relationship forever. Yet, though the danger from Edward had passed, their journey was far from over. Elena and Nicholas, now bound by even deeper trust, faced an uncertain future where fame, ambition, and personal happiness intertwined. Would Elena's brave act finally silence her fears forever, or were there still greater challenges ahead, testing the depth of their newfound strength? This question hung between them as they prepared to face their next chapter together. Standing side by side backstage, after Elena's brave revelation, Nicholas gently wrapped an arm around her shoulders. The thunderous applause of thousands still echoed in their ears, but a quiet intimacy settled between them, shielding them from the noisy world outside. Elena, now certain and strong, rested her head against Nicholas's shoulder, feeling at peace for the first time in months. She had faced her fears, and the courage she found had deepened their bond in a way neither anticipated. However, Nicholas knew Edward Grey too well. He understood Edward wouldn't give up easily. As a powerful and vindictive man, Edward thrived on control and influence, and his failure to manipulate Elena only intensified his resentment. In the weeks that followed, Nicholas hired discreet security, concerned that Edward might retaliate not only through professional sabotage but also personally. Life slowly returned to normal, but unease lingered beneath the surface. Elena continued her successful performances, growing even more popular among fans who admired her strength and sincerity. Still, she noticed Nicholas's growing anxiety, sensing his protective nature intensifying. Elena deeply appreciated his concern, but she also feared Edward's potential retaliation. Nicholas's worries became reality sooner than expected. One evening, following another successful show, Nicholas received an anonymous threat, warning him to step aside, or Elena's career would be irreparably destroyed. Nicholas recognized Edward's methods immediately, his heart tightening with anger and fear. Elena noticed his tension, insisting he share everything. Edward won't stop, Nicholas admitted bitterly, showing Elena the threatening note. He's determined to break us. This isn't just about business, it's personal. Elena felt her stomach twist anxiously, but her gaze hardened with determination. Nicholas, I refuse to hide or let him control us. We've faced worse. Together, we can face him too. Encouraged by Elena's strength, Nicholas began devising a plan to neutralize Edward's threats once and for all. They knew Edward's weaknesses, pride, and reputation. If they could expose Edward's underhanded tactics, he'd lose credibility, undermining his influence permanently. Together, Nicholas and Elena quietly investigated Edward's recent business activities, hoping to uncover anything they could leverage against him. During their discreet research, Elena learned more about Nicholas's painful past with Edward, how they'd once built a successful venture together before Edward betrayed him ruthlessly, nearly destroying Nicholas's career. Elena felt deeper compassion and admiration for Nicholas, finally understanding the roots of his guarded nature and fierce protectiveness. Their investigation quickly bore fruit. Elena discovered that Edward had secretly blackmailed several rising stars in Chicago's music scene, forcing them into exploitative contracts and threatening their families if they refused. Armed with concrete evidence, Elena felt a fierce determination to expose Edward's true face, protecting others from experiencing similar manipulation. Still, Nicholas hesitated. Edward was dangerous and unpredictable, and exposing him publicly meant risking retaliation. But Elena insisted that it was the right thing to do. She refused to remain silent when others suffered in silence. Nicholas saw the fire in Elena's eyes, feeling proud, yet worried, knowing their fight could draw unwanted attention or even danger. One evening, as they prepared their final move against Edward, Elena received a frightening message. Edward had discovered their investigation and threatened to harm Nicholas personally if Elena continued. Terrified yet determined, Elena rushed to Nicholas's apartment, desperate to warn him. When she arrived, Nicholas met her calmly, unsurprised. I expected this, he confessed gently, embracing her tightly, reassuring her. Elena trembled, not out of fear for herself, but for the man she loved deeply. She pleaded with Nicholas to abandon their confrontation, insisting that no revenge was worth risking their lives. But Nicholas stood firm, his blue eyes calm yet intense. Elena, if we back down now, Edward wins. He will never stop threatening others, exploiting them as he tried with us. This isn't revenge, it's justice. Despite Elena's anxiety, she knew Nicholas was right. Their courage now would define their lives, shaping their future. Gathering all her strength, she agreed to follow through. The next day, Nicholas and Elena publicly revealed Edward's crimes in a widely publicized press conference. Elena spoke clearly and confidently, detailing Edward's manipulations, blackmail, and attempts at sabotage. Witnesses stepped forward bravely, confirming her accusations. Media coverage exploded instantly, Edward's public image collapsing rapidly beneath the weight of undeniable evidence. Yet, amid their victory, Edward's fury erupted dangerously. Cornered and humiliated, Edward vowed revenge, targeting Nicholas specifically, determined to destroy him personally for ruining his reputation. He knew that hurting Nicholas would devastate Elena more profoundly than harming her directly. One cold November night, Nicholas received a panicked call from Elena. She'd arrived home to find her apartment ransacked, a chilling message scrawled across the mirror. I warned you. Nicholas rushed immediately to her side, heart racing with worry and anger. They realized the danger had escalated dramatically. Determined to protect Elena at all costs, Nicholas confronted Edward personally, demanding he leave Elena alone. Face to face, Edward mocked him cruelly, coldly promising revenge not only professionally but personally. Nicholas, however, refused intimidation, calmly promising Edward would regret ever threatening Elena. Their tense confrontation ended abruptly, but Nicholas knew Edward's vengeance wasn't over. He arranged for Elena's protection and considered sending her temporarily out of the city. Elena, however, refused to leave Nicholas's side. "We face this together," she whispered fiercely, refusing to let Edward's threats break them apart. Nicholas realized Elena's courage had grown stronger than he ever imagined. She was no longer the shy waitress he once challenged mockingly. She had become the fierce, courageous woman he deeply respected and loved passionately. They resolved to remain strong, supporting each other through every threat and challenge. Their love was tested again and again, yet it emerged stronger each time, built on trust, sincerity, and unwavering devotion. Yet they both sensed Edward wouldn't retreat quietly. Danger lingered in the air, threatening their newfound happiness. Nicholas worried constantly, understanding Edward's dark capacity for revenge. Elena, however, stayed firm, determined never to surrender her dreams or the man she loved. But neither could imagine just how far Edward would go to exact his revenge, nor how severely their courage and love would soon be tested. Would their bond endure Edward's final, desperate act of retaliation? As the city lights dimmed quietly outside their window, Elena rested her head gently against Nicholas's shoulder, whispering softly, "Whatever comes next, we'll face it together." Nicholas held her tightly, silently promising himself he would protect Elena with everything he had, no matter the cost. Their greatest test was yet to come. As days passed, the tension surrounding Elena and Nicholas intensified. Edward's threats continued, each more ominous than the last. Despite Nicholas's efforts to shield Elena from anxiety, she couldn't help but sense the looming danger. However, instead of weakening her resolve, the challenges only strengthened their bond, confirming the deep trust and genuine love they shared. Determined to show strength publicly, Elena continued performing, drawing massive crowds who admired her bravery as much as her voice. Yet privately, fear gnawed at her heart. Not fear for herself, but fear of losing Nicholas, the man who had become her anchor, confidant, and deepest love. Nicholas, meanwhile, became increasingly cautious, his protective instincts heightened to their limits. One quiet evening, Nicholas surprised Elena by arranging a private dinner at Harmony, the same humble cafe where their story began. The cafe, dimly lit and empty except for them, provided a peaceful refuge from the turmoil outside. They sat across from each other, savoring the calm atmosphere. Nicholas reached across the table, taking Elena's slender, delicate hand into his. "Elena," he began softly, eyes full of sincerity. "Meeting you changed me. You taught me what truly matters. Fame, power, success, all meaningless compared to you. I promise you, no matter what Edward tries, I won't allow anything to harm you." Elena smiled softly, her luminous eyes reflecting the candlelight. "Nicholas, you gave me courage. You believed in me when no one else did. As long as we're together, I'm not afraid of Edward, or anything else." Their heartfelt moment, however, was suddenly shattered by a loud crash at the cafe entrance. Before either could react, Edward burst in, his face twisted with rage. He stood staring at them, a chilling smile forming on his lips. "Nicholas, Elena," Edward said mockingly, slowly approaching. "You thought exposing me would end this? You underestimate me. If I can't have what I want, neither will you." Nicholas instinctively stepped between Edward and Elena. "Enough, Edward. It's over. Leave now, or I'll involve the authorities." Edward laughed bitterly, drawing something from his coat, a small black revolver gleaming under the soft cafe lights. Elena gasped sharply, gripping Nicholas's hand tightly. Nicholas tensed, but shielded Elena protectively. Edward aimed the weapon directly at Nicholas, voice cold and cruel. "You ruined everything, my career, my reputation. Did you really think I'd let you enjoy happiness while I suffer?" In that terrifying moment, Elna saw Nicholas, bravely, standing before her, prepared to sacrifice everything for her safety. Without hesitation, Elna stepped forward boldly, facing Edward directly. "Edward, stop this," Elna spoke calmly, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "Shooting Nicholas won't bring back your career. Revenge won't restore what you've lost." Edward hesitated briefly, eyes flickering between Elna and Nicholas, hatred clouding his judgment. "It's too late, Elena," he hissed bitterly, finger tightening around the trigger. In that split second, Nicholas lunged toward Edward, attempting to wrestle the gun away. A fierce struggle ensued, a deafening shot suddenly echoing through the cafe. Elena screamed, heart frozen in terror, certain Nicholas was wounded. But it was Edward who staggered backward, clutching his arm, blood seeping between his fingers. The bullet had grazed him during the struggle. Police sirens wailed in the distance, someone having called authorities at the first sign of trouble. Edward, defeated and wounded, sank to the ground, eyes blazing with hatred. Within minutes, police arrived, swiftly arresting Edward. Elena rushed to Nicholas, who stood breathing heavily, miraculously unharmed. She embraced him desperately, tears flowing freely. "I thought I'd lost you," she whispered through sobs. Nicholas gently held her close, reassuring her with tender whispers, calming her trembling body. Their nightmare had ended, leaving them both shaken but alive. In the following weeks, Edward was imprisoned for his crimes. News spread quickly, bringing Elena and Nicholas even greater public attention. But now it was admiration and sympathy, rather than judgment or envy. Fans celebrated their courage, authenticity, and unwavering love. Months later, Elena stood confidently on the largest stage yet, performing at Chicago's legendary Millennium Park. Thousands gathered, inspired not just by her music, but by the resilience and courage that defined her journey. Nicholas proudly watched from the front row, his love stronger than ever, knowing their struggles had forged an unbreakable bond between them. After the performance, under Chicago's glittering skyline, Nicholas surprised Elena again, gently dropping to one knee before her, holding out a ring, glinting beautifully under the city lights. "Elena, my life changed forever when you spilled coffee on my jacket," Nicholas began, voice trembling slightly with emotion. "You taught me humility, courage, and love. You gave me purpose. Will you marry me?" The audience gasped, then erupted into cheers and applause, eagerly awaiting Elena's response. Elena, her eyes glistening with joyful tears, smiled radiantly, nodding without hesitation. "Yes, Nicholas. 1,000 times yes." As Nicholas slipped the ring onto her finger, their hearts soared with happiness. The crowd cheered louder, witnessing a love story that overcame arrogance, fear, prejudice, and danger. A love, born from a chance encounter, tested by adversity, yet flourishing stronger than ever. Elena knew their path hadn't been easy. Once, she'd feared stepping into the spotlight, afraid of judgment, rejection, and pain. But now she stood proudly, having conquered every fear, embraced every challenge, and discovered the deepest, most genuine form of love beside the man who'd once mocked her, but now cherished her unconditionally. Their story wasn't a fairy tale. It was something richer, deeper, and infinitely more real. Nicholas and Elena had learned that true happiness came from choosing love, bravery, and authenticity over fear and doubt. Together, they'd proved that genuine connections defied race, status, prejudice, and adversity. As their lips met beneath the starry Chicago night, both understood clearly this wasn't the end of their story, but a beautiful new beginning. Elena had found her voice, her courage, and her soulmate. Nicholas had discovered humility, love, and true happiness. The cafe waitress who once feared the spotlight had become a star, illuminating the world with her courage. And the man who once mocked her had learned the profound power of love and redemption. Their story reminds us all: dare to dream, dare to fight, Dare to love deeply, for the most precious things in life await beyond the boundaries of fear. So, are you ready to face your fears and chase your dreams? Your own extraordinary story might just be waiting to begin.